Good afternoon. Good afternoon on this cold Sunday, everybody, and welcome to Life Celebration by Franklin Monthly Grief Symposium. And as this is our first session for the year, I want to say Happy New Year to each of you. Each of you. Today, though, we have a topic. Our session is Understanding Grief, a shared yet personal experience. So, as you know, Dr. Cunningham is going to have us sharing, and she always wants to know, what we've done since we've last been in session. So we're gonna bring Dr. Cunningham on. Hello, Dr.
Well,
Cunningham.
hello, Miss Marie. How are you?
I am great. It just kind of stay warm on this cold Sunday.
Exactly. It's cold there in Austin, huh?
Oh, it's cold. It's cold. And look, before I turn it over to you, Tonya, I wanted to say, we talk. I was looking at the handout, and you were talking about how we have certain losses, not necessarily death losses.
Hmm.
So I was just thinking about how we've had a loss today, and this weekend we had a loss of outside connection with this inclement weather. And in the
Exactly.
handout, you were talking about how we have to deal with it, and so I said the way we deal with it was we actually listened to the meteorologist this time,
Hmm.
stay inside and be safe.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people are experiencing grief
Yeah,
from that loss of not being able to do what they want to do. But in a
mhm.
nutshell, it's really a loss of control.
A loss of control.
A
Okay,
loss of control.
well, you're right. You're right because we want to control it. Well, I want to be able to do this, and that, and we can't always do that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, we're gonna turn it over to Dr. Cunningham.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, hello, everyone. Great Sunday afternoon. Happy New Year. So excited to see you guys in this space again. Welcome to our monthly grief symposium that is hosted by a life celebration by Franklin. It is in Austin, Texas. And for those of you who do not know what that is, it's actually a funeral home, actually, and an event center. Okay. So it's located there in the Austin, Texas area. We are virtual today and we'll tell you more about our schedule. It's going to be similar to last year to where we'll be in person for only three of the sessions for this year. Only three times we'll be in person. So I want you to make sure you mark your calendar for that. We'll tell you more about it next month because I want to see your faces in the place when I come in person. But welcome to our very first installment for this year to talk about grief. Now, I see you guys logging in on Facebook. Glad to see all of you all. If you don't mind, would you just let us know where you are logging in from? If you're from Fort Worth, where I am, we call it Funky Town, Texas, or some people call it Cowtown, Texas, due to the stock show area that is here in our city. Let me know where you're logging in from and let me know if this is your very first time being with us. If this is your very first time being with us, put a 1 in the chat so that our producer can properly acknowledge you. So I'm going to take a moment before I move to that next session that Marie talked about checking in to see how we're doing. So I see Rosalind, my daughter, my spiritual daughter, one of them, she's online. Good to see you. Hello, Lavera. Glad that you're on. Hello, Cheryl. Come on from Lancaster, Texas. You're all the way up here where I am. We've got Stephanie Reed that's on. We've got Charlotte Hawkins. Good to see you. Austin, Texas. Sandra, this is your very first time being with us. Sandra, I'm not going to even try to pronounce your last name. I don't even want to mess it up. We're so glad that you're here. We are glad that you're here. Cheryl Duncan, this is your first time being here. We're excited to see you. Lois is in Austin. And this is your first session too? Come on. We have a lot of first timers. We've got Miss Griffin. I don't want to mispronounce your first name, but we're so glad that you're here in Round Rock. Linda is in Austin, and Kimberly Patrick Beans, first time attendee. So excited that you're here. Lavere is in Round Rock. T is in Dallas, all the way up here with me and Tangi. Hey there, how are you? So excited to see all of you guys on YouTube. We're glad to see Karen, who's logging in for the first time in Austin, Texas. Glad to see you. We've got Janet Poe from Houston, Texas, who is logged on. YouTube, and this is your second time being with us. I'm hope I'm reading that correctly. But nonetheless, we're so excited that all of you are here with us. So what a great way to start the year. That's right, Tangi, you're up here with me in Fort Worth. What a great way to start the year. So before we get into what we're going to talk about today, hey Lisa, good to see you. I want to let you know that the handout that I'm going over today is available for you to download. So if you're not able to do it now, that's okay. You can just listen to the information that I'm going to share, and then you can go and download it. So you want to look in the description of this video, and there will be a link there where you can download this handout. You can download it, go to the description of this video, and you can click on the link and you can download it. All right. And now the next question I'm going to ask, those of you who have been here before, you already know what I'm getting ready to ask. This is a new year, 2026. What have you done since I saw you guys last? It was during my birthday month. You guys celebrated me in November at our last session, and I'm so thankful. I'm still excited about that. So what have you guys done to take care of yourselves? That's self-care. And remember, ladies, self-care is not going to the hair salon. Self-care is not getting your nails done. That's what most people think that is self-care. It is not. So what are some things that you've done, such as setting boundaries, resting, changing your diet to a healthy diet? What have you done? Go ahead and drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat. And as always, I want to lead by example. So for me, what have I done since I saw you guys last? I really leaned into rest during the holiday season. Thanksgiving, Christmas, and even New Year's Eve. I was off for the holiday, but also I was off the following day too. Now, this is really the first time since I've been a full-time, what I call kingdompreneur, working for the Lord, for the kingdom of God. I started in 2022 full-time, and I forgot, since I was working for myself, I forgot to take off for the holidays. So the first year, I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, man, and I realized if I don't work, I don't eat. I won't get paid. So that was that first year. So I planned it differently. And this is the first year that I was really intentional and I rested. I caught up on a lot of stuff on Netflix. I sure did. I watched the series. Has anybody seen the series called 61st Street? 61st Street. It's very good in my opinion. It speaks about really, it's a reflection of what's happening in today's society. It's about the Chicago police and how they police the people there unfairly in the Chicago area. It's a long series, and I got to season 1, episode 2, and I turned it off. I couldn't take it. It was just too much. I said, it's a lot going on in our world. I don't want to watch that. And then a friend of mine said, you should watch it. So I pressed on through, and I'm so glad that I did. So glad that I did. So that's what I did. So I'm getting ready to look in the chat to see what you guys have done since I saw you in November. So yes, Rosalind, you are a frequent flyer. We like to see that. Hey, Pastor Sneed, let's get it. Love you much. I logged on to hear you preach today. That was a very good word. So Lavera Wade says she's been eating with caution. I like that. That's very good. You've been eating with caution. We need to do that. Let's see. Rosalind said she's been resting and setting boundaries. That is very, very good to take care of you. Stephanie Sneed said she got out of the house more. That is very good. Lisa James says rest and boundaries. Very good. I'm so proud of y'all. Lisa, you saw it, 61st Street. You said it was very, very good. Lavera, you saw it too? All of y'all, come on, I'm not by myself. Y'all saw that. So good stuff, good stuff. So glad that you guys are taking care of you. What's the reason? What's the reason I asked you guys to do that? Let's see, on YouTube, Karen said, rest is what I did and you watched movies. Good for you. 61st Street is excellent. You're watching it now. So good. You guys must take time to take care of yourselves, okay? And everything, those of you who have seen me before, what I am teaching you, I've only learned in this last decade, and I just turned 60. right? I don't look like it, do it. Put no in the chat. Make me feel happy and say, no, you don't look like you're 60. But self-care, all of these things that I'm teaching you about grief and mourning and healing and managing, I've only learned within the last decade of my life. And self-care, as you get older, my mother used to say this all the time. And I used to think she didn't know what she's talking about. I said, old lady, you don't know what you're talking about. That old lady knew. She used to tell me, honey, you get only one body. You better take care of it. It's the only one you get. And now I understand that. Now I understand that. Thank y'all. Y'all make me feel so good. I don't look 60. So again, self-care is very important, especially as you get older and especially if you are navigating through grief. Navigating through grief. So our handout today, again, we're talking about understanding grief, a shared yet personal experience. It's a shared yet it's personal. It is a personal experience. And so now, again, we're in a new year. Many of us have heard the greetings, Happy New Year. But the reality is, for people who are in grief, moving to a new year without your loved one, if you're dealing with a death loss, a lot of times it may not be so happy for you. It may not be so happy for you. So it's not necessarily, quote unquote, what we call a new year when we make these new year resolutions. And this year, I'm going to address my diet. I'm going to eat with caution, as Lavera said. This year, I'm going to come out of debt. This year, I'm going to declutter. And we're already at January 25th, and I'm quite sure that many have dropped off of the bandwagon already. They've already not done some of the things that they said they were going to do. So when you are in grief, it's not necessarily a new year. Again, it's a time when you move forward. It's not like you're starting over in your grief journey, but it's like you're moving forward, because just because it's a calendar date that changes, it doesn't mean that your grief experience will change overnight from one year to the next. So why are we coming on here on this Sunday afternoon? We're here for our first timers. Go ahead and mark your calendar. We are here every fourth Sunday. Every fourth Sunday, 3:30 to 4:30. And again, we'll give you that schedule when we will be in person. But next month, I know we'll be virtual as well. So why are we here again? We want to provide this information to you, this support to you, so that you can gain an understanding. So that you can gain an understanding. For those of us who are believers in the Lord Jesus Christ, we understand one of the scriptures that we learned possibly when we were young in the church is that in all thy getting, get what? You must get an understanding. Because the reality is, if it's something that we do not understand, generally we're going to fight it. We're going to fight it, not necessarily because we don't subscribe to it or don't believe in it. We just don't understand it. We just don't understand it. So when you are trying and learning to understand grief, it's like learning a new language. It is like learning a new language. Do we have anybody that's on here that's bilingual? If you are, put it in the chat. Say me, I'm bilingual. I'm bilingual. I wish I was. I wish I remembered taking French and Spanish. You know, I took those courses, but I didn't think it was important. Just young and immature. I didn't think it was important. I wish I would have retained and practiced and managed that. But it's like learning a new language, okay? So when you have a death loss, it's like you're immediately immersed into this world. You're dropped into a different world without a handbook. You don't get an instruction book, say, do this, do that, do this, do that. And by the way, some people approach the grief journey that way. They try to check the boxes. I did this. I went to counseling 2 times and I'm not feeling better. What is wrong with me? Because grief doesn't work that way. Okay? It doesn't work that way, because what once made sense to you, such as relationships that you had, the time that you were living in, or even your own sense of self, it doesn't make sense anymore when you are actually in grief. So now you're having to learn new vocabulary. You're having to learn new vocabulary. Okay? I'll use today as an example where it's an ice storm that has hit our country. And many of us, many states are shut in. We couldn't get to the physical church building, right? But many churches had what we call virtual service. Virtual service. Well, in order to have virtual service, that means we need some people who are skilled in technology. Like our producer here, Cedric, he is skilled in technology. And he kind of makes fun of Marie and I because, we're older, we're senior citizens, and we don't know. We're like, what does that mean? And he gets a little frustrated with us sometimes. So I see him backstage laughing. So y'all pray for Cedric. He's got to be patient with the elderly when it comes to technology. We just don't know the language, Cedric. We don't know it. So people in grief are just like that. You don't know the language. So as a result of not knowing the language, guess what? You feel like you're doing this whole grief thing wrong. I can't tell you the countless people that come to me that say, is this right? Am I okay for feeling this way? I said, oh yeah. When you're forgetting everything, I said, oh yeah, you're fine. Nothing's wrong. It's just you're experiencing grief brain. So you got to be able to understand the language and know that, again, that nothing is wrong with you. So our handout, again, it talks about understanding grief, and it's a shared yet personal experience. So we start talking about grief across the timeline. Grief across the timeline. So you must know, I saw a video the other night. Be careful of who we are watching and who we are learning from online, because everybody's not skilled or qualified to give you information. Technology is wonderful. It's wonderful. I like it. I'm adjusting to it because this is the way of the world. If I don't adjust to it, I'm going to get left behind. So I'm adjusting to it, but it also gives an opportunity for people who shouldn't have a voice to have a voice. I said something right there. Meaning, people are out here teaching and preaching and sharing certain things that they're not qualified to do. So be careful. I ran across a reel of a guy, and not saying anything against him, but I said, I disagree with that because he says grief. He talked about how you will always be in pain with grief. That's not true. That is a choice. You do not have to remain in pain. Is it painful? Yes. And for our new people, grief never ends. Can somebody put that in the chat? Somebody put that in the chat. Grief never ends. But the pain of it does. The pain of it. So for our new people, what is grief? Grief is what happens on the inside of you. It's an internal, emotional, hormonal, or chemical response. Meaning your body's responding to grief, to your experience, to your loss, whether you say anything or not, whether you cry or not. It is an internal. Your nervous system is going to be impacted. So grief is what happens on the inside of you. Hey, Pastor Wendell. But mourning is what happens on the outside. So when you're talking about it, that's mourning. When you're journaling, when you're crying, whatever takes place on the outside of you, that is mourning. So what is grief? Grief is non-linear, meaning it's not a straight line experience. You don't go from point A all the way to point Z. No, you're going to go point A, D, B, F. Yeah, it's up and down. It's an up and down experience, kind of like a roller coaster. A roller coaster. Just know that when we're on a roller coaster, we have the dips. We have the dips, and the dips are just as important as when you're on the peaks. Okay, you go up and you go down. Many people will define the dips as a setback. Not necessarily a setback. Not necessarily. It just depends. We need to have it in context, what you're referring to. But know that it's non-linear. It's definitely individual, and it's also influenced. Can somebody put in the chat? It is influenced. Your grief experience is influenced. Influenced by what? Your culture. Your culture. It's influenced by your faith. It's influenced by your personality. It is certainly influenced by your trauma history. And it is influenced by your support systems. None of us are designed as human beings to grieve alone. None of us. We all need connection. For the person who says, I don't need anybody, that's hurt, that's speaking for you. We all need somebody. Okay? We all do. Research has shown that infants who don't have the connection with their mother, again, they don't progress in a healthy way because they need that connection. They need that connection. So grief, again, is natural. It is an entire body experience. Grief is an entire bodily experience. What do I mean? It impacts us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Okay? So how does grief often show up? Many people think that grief is just sadness. No, there's a plethora, a whole gamut of emotions and feelings that pop up. And one popular one is anger. Anger is often reflected as your grief experience. Okay? You got confusion, fatigue, anxiety, numbness, difficulty concentrating, changes in your sleeping patterns, changing in your eating. All of those are grief responses. So many of you have heard me speak about David Kessler. David Kessler. I went through a certification program that he hosted a couple of years ago and got a certification. He's one of the other leading voices in the grief industry. He was actually the mentee of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She's the lady that developed the stages of grief. Stages of grief. And so he was her mentee. So he came up with his own timeline. And he talked about anticipatory grief. Can somebody put anticipatory grief in the chat? One of the things to understand when you're in grief is to understand what type of grief you're experiencing. All grief is not the same. And let us stop saying this too. Everybody grieves differently. No. Everybody grieves the same. We mourn differently. Remember, mourning is what takes place on the outside of you. Mourning is how you cope. Okay, so we all mourn differently, but we grieve the same because it's internal. So what's anticipatory grief? That is grief that happens before a physical loss. Okay, usually it's going to be seen when someone is dealing with terminal illness, dealing with dementia, some type of cognitive deficit. You can experience anticipatory grief when your loved one is incarcerated or you're the one that's incarcerated, when you go through divorce or any other significant life change. You start experiencing grief before the loss has actually taken place. And some common experiences you feel during that time is anxiety and fear, sadness and emotional exhaustion. You feel guilt for grieving before the loss occurs. Yeah, you grieve before the loss occurs. So some people, when they're caring for someone who is terminally ill, they start their grieving process then, a lot of times unbeknownst to them. And so when the person actually physically dies and they're at the funeral and they're sitting there with no expressive emotion, many people, I've heard people say, did you see them at the funeral? She didn't even respond. Did she even love her husband? Well, yeah, she loved him, but she did a lot of heavy lifting 5 years while she was caring for him when he was deteriorating. So that's what, again, anticipatory grief is. Anticipatory grief certainly is real, it's valid, and it does not lessen the grief after the loss. It does not. Now, another great example, I see you guys are blowing up the chat. Thank you so much for your comments. We'll get to them as soon as I can. So another great example of anticipatory grief are immigrants. Somebody put that in the chat. Immigrants. Immigrants. These people in the United States, no, in the divided states of America, they are experiencing anticipatory grief. Fearful of going outside. Why? Because they feel they may be picked up by ICE. That's grief. Not see their children anymore. That's anticipatory grief. All right? So the next one, he says you have acute grief. This is right when your loss happens. Pastor Sneed, you're in acute grief. You just had your losses. Parents, close together. It just happened. Okay? So acute grief, it typically, again, begins after the loss, right when it happens. Oftentimes, acute grief is intense and it's overwhelming. It just happened. And what happens in acute grief? Your nervous system is often in shock, and emotions may feel overwhelming, and you may feel completely numb. Completely numb. So when you think about acute, what does that mean right now? Right now, it's happening right now. Okay. So what are some experiences for a person in acute grief? You're in shock. That's right. Super duper acute. Yes. You're in shock. You're in disbelief. You're in confusion because your mind hasn't caught up with the reality. Every client, it was interesting this week with my clients, every one of them were dealing with shock and denial. And their loved ones died anywhere from 2023 to 2025. Because again, they're coming out of the shock and they're realizing this is my life. My husband is not coming back. My son, my mother, my father, they're not coming back. So they were in acute grief and they're coming out of that. So you feel sadness, emotional numbness, emotional flooding. You can't focus a lot, difficulty focusing, difficulty remembering, tough time making decisions. Your sleep changes, your appetite changes, and you have physical sensations like chest tightness, heaviness, or fatigue. One of the things I've discovered, especially as minorities, we don't know what anxiety is. We don't know what depression is. We automatically think it's clinical depression, but there is depression that's associated with grief. I was sitting with a client and they were talking through their loved one's death and they were like, oh my God, I can't breathe. What's happening here? So I walked them through, had them do some deep breaths. I said, that's anxiety. They said, what? Yes. Saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, that with fire. Very active in church. We don't know what anxiety is. Okay? So just know that when you're in acute grief, nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Can you put that in the chat? Nothing is wrong with me. I'm grieving. Nothing is wrong with me. Okay? So these are normal responses to a profound loss. Now, if the loss is not profound, you won't experience this. Okay? I've had many, many people where family members in particular, I love them. Praise the Lord. I went to the funeral and viewed the body and looked at him and I said, well, that's her. Didn't have any response because I wasn't close to him. It wasn't profound to me. Okay? So supporting during acute grief, it focuses on accepting help. Put that in the chat. When you're in acute grief, you must learn to accept help. Next thing you want to do is work out gentle routines. Gentle. Okay? Gentle routines and basic self-care. So if you're in acute grief, you want to learn how to accept help. You want to develop gentle routines. And you definitely want to develop basic self-care such as hydration. Hydration. A lot of times you don't want to drink anything. You don't want to eat anything. Okay? But you want to do what you can. Drink water. If you're not hungry, drink some protein drinks or shakes to go ahead and nourish your body. Because your body is the one that's carrying the emotions on the inside. And you got to take care of your body. You got to take care of your body, okay? So you want to breathe slowly and deeply when emotions surge. This is for somebody. Deep breathing. Don't sleep on this deep breathing. Oh, that can't do anything for me. Yes, it can. What does the deep breathing do? It slows your nervous system down. Okay? So you want to do it definitely when those emotions surge. But my encouragement to you is to practice deep breathing every day. Every day. Because what you're going to do is build the muscles in your lungs and let your muscles know, okay, this is normal for me. This is kind of like when we don't exercise, we're out of shape, and then we start trying to exercise and we're out of breath. That's how our lungs respond. And know that those of you who have been around before, you've heard me teach that emotions are connected to, associated with our organs. So the organ that grief is associated with, it's your lungs. Your lungs. So this is why your breathing is like this a lot of times in grief. You sigh quite often and not even realize that, okay? So you've got the anticipatory grief, acute grief, And then you have what he calls early grief. This is 2 years up until today. So I just taught you, especially those of you who are here for the first time, that grief never ends, and it doesn't. It doesn't. So you've got actually 1 to 2. That was it. Mature grief is from 3 years till today. So early grief, that's the first 2 years. So you're out of the bubble. You're out of acute grief. That's the first 2 years. And during that time, you're asking these questions. Why am I still grieving? I thought I would be better by now. Or you feel the pressure to move on from the people around you. That's the first 2 years. For our new people, it takes up to 5 years to find your new normal after the loss. It takes, and that sounds like a long time. People say, oh my gosh, 5 years? It does. It takes up to 5 years because the greater part of the first year, you're in shock. So it takes up to 5 years for you to find that new normal. That's why a lot of people think I should be better. It's year 2. Oftentimes, year 2 is more intense than year 1 because year 2, you're fully out of the bubble, the denial. All right. So you got early grief, then you got mature grief. Mature grief. That's going to be 3 years to date for the rest of your life. I saw David Kessler do an interview and someone asked him, how long am I going to grieve? And he said, well, how long are they going to be dead? Only a person in grief could get the humor of that. He said, how long are they going to be dead? And they said forever. That means you're going to grieve forever, but B-U-T, but it does not mean that you're going to be in pain. Grief, it's an internal emotional response, okay? If it's a loved one who died, the majority of the people on here, it's because of death loss. Again, they died, but your love didn't die. So that's what the grief is, okay? So when you're in mature grief, this is where you have improved emotional regulation. You're able to regulate your emotions. You have the ability to remember without being overwhelmed or going down the rabbit hole. You re-engage with life and relationships, and you really listen to this. You have the capacity to hold grief and joy at the same time. That's how you know you're doing it. Because most people feel guilty. I feel guilty for laughing. My loved one is deceased. Laughter, joy, all of that, and grief, all of that is housed in your body. Okay, it's housed in your body. So, meaning in grief. David Kessler, again, I shared with you, he was the protege or the mentee of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. So he added a stage. She did the stages of grief, 5 stages. He added one. And he talks about meaning, and he says it's not about finding something good in the loss. It's about how we carry the loss forward. That is some good news right there. Meaning is not about finding something good in the loss. This is a word for the saints because we're always trying to find something good. How do you find good in a murder? How do you do that? Okay? It's not about necessarily finding good, not saying that you can't, not saying that you can't find good, but it's really about how you carry this loss forward. How you carry this loss forward. Meaning is personal and it unfolds over time. Meaning is personal and it unfolds over time. What you are seeing today, me on here, is an example of meaning in grief. It is example of meaning in grief. Mr. Barry, some of you have heard this story. Barry and I met Barry and Marie years ago when I was a college student at UT Austin, and I joined the church that they attended, Greater Mount Zion Baptist Church. My pastor was N.W. Bacon. And so I connected with them back there. And for years, he and I would sit and converse. We would go to, I would see him at funeral conventions. And I remember I was at a funeral convention. He said, let's go to lunch. And we went to lunch and he said, I want to do grief support. I want to do it at my funeral home, but we never could get it connected. It just never happened until 2012 when I went through a divorce. And he reached out and he said, hey, I think it's time. And I've been going ever since. And for me, that is meaningful. That's meaning. I found meaning in that divorce that was so painful, so public, so ugly. It was horrible. But ask me would I go through it again. Now I can say yes because I went through the healing process. But back then I was like, no. If I cussed, that would have been a good place to cuss right there. No, I wouldn't do that. But meaning, okay, it develops in time and it cannot be rushed. It develops. It just unfolds. It develops. And we didn't intend this, to work out the way that it has been. It's been very, very well received. But y'all listen to this. It just unfolded. When he asked, he said, I want you to come for Christmas time. I said, okay. He said, we just going to start there and see how it works. I said, okay, cool. He said, I need to see if the people are going to respond. And they did. We had 2 sessions, 1-hour sessions back to back. And it was during my birthday weekend back then. It was in November. And that was on a Sunday evening. Monday, when I got home, he called. He said, well, the people received it well. They want you back. He said, I think we're going to do once a month. And I'm thinking, I didn't tell him that. I'm like, Lord, how am I going to get to Austin? I had a car with Maypop tires. Y'all know what kind of tires those are, Maypop? That was the brand. They Maypop anytime. Maypop, yes, I did. I got, in the divorce, I got the car with the Maypop tires. Ooh, let me focus. Okay, and I was wondering, he was talking, he said, we want you to come back next month. I'm like, Lord, how am I going to get there? I don't mind driving in the city with these Maypop tires because I got family and friends. I can call them. If anything happens, y'all come get me. But I can't take that car on the road. And he said, we're going to send for you. I say, what? He said, yeah, we're going to fly you here. What? Meaning develops in time and it cannot be rushed. I had no idea that was going to happen the way that it did. But because I submitted to the process of healing, that's what you need to do. All right? Y'all laughing at my Maypop tire. Leo Vaughn, Maypop anytime. All right? So grief from non-death losses. Perhaps there are some of you who are here not just dealing with the death loss, or you're not dealing with the death loss at all, but you're dealing with non-death losses. Okay? Divorce is at the top of that list. Divorce. Or a relationship loss. Could be a friendship. You broke up with your boo, your babe, whatever. You're going to go through grief. Loss of your health or physical ability. Your career or financial loss. Okay, you're going to go through grief. I knew someone I was working with one time, lost thousands and thousands of dollars. Had to go through grief. Didn't understand what that was. Infertility. Miscarriage, abortion, pregnancy loss. All of those are examples of non-death losses. Loss of identity, your role, your safety, your trust, your stability. Life transitions that didn't turn out as expected. All of these are examples of non-death losses, okay? And this is what we call as a result of disenfranchised grief. Remember, we talked about types of grief. We talked about anticipatory grief. Disenfranchised grief, again, is a type of grief, and it's not always supported by others. It's not always recognized, okay? But what you need to know is if something mattered to you, its loss matters. If something matters to you, its loss matters. It's loss, okay? So David Kessler, he expanded the model that he worked with Kubler-Ross. So she came up with, again, the stages of grief. He calls them the experiences of grief. He just changed it to the experience of grief, and then he added meaning as the 6th experience. But what are those stages or the experiences? Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance and meaning. Let me get some hydration in. So what is denial? This protects us from being overwhelmed. Denial, shock. This protects you. God is so amazing in how he created our brain and our mind, how they're different, but they're intricately connected. Okay. Sometimes the shock of hearing about someone's death or loss is too much for you at the time. So your brain just kind of shuts you down to protect you from being overwhelmed. You're in denial. Okay. Now we don't want to live there. It's okay to be in denial in the beginning, but at some point we have to come out of that. Okay. Denial, then anger. Anger. What does anger do? It gives voice to pain. Okay. So you can be angry at people, angry at God, angry at circumstances, or the loss itself, or even the person, if they died. I've had many people are angry at the person because they didn't take care of themselves, because they were a smoker and they knew that smoking was harming their bodies and they kept doing it. Anger. Then bargaining. This is where searching for control or relief. Okay, this is where you start asking the questions, what if? Only if. Then depression is the weight of the reality. The weight of the reality, okay? This is where you have sadness, withdrawal, and heaviness. If that's where you are, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're clinically depressed, okay? I have many people of faith who try to avoid this space. All it is just sadness. That's all. Doesn't mean that you're clinic. Now, some of y'all clinically depressed and you need medication. Because when we don't allow ourselves to feel and process and be sad, I don't like feeling this way. I have many clients say, I'm just tired of crying. When am I going to stop? When it's time to stop. Trust me, the tears will stop when it's time to stop. So you got denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. Acceptance is basically acknowledging the reality of the loss, not necessarily approval. This is why a lot of people don't move in the space of acceptance. They say, because if I accept this reality, it's going to be real in my life. The truth is, it is a reality. You just haven't wrapped your mind around that just yet. Acknowledge the reality of the loss. Not approval, but it is absolutely recognition. And then meaning. What happens when you get to meaning? This is where integration takes place. You're integrating the loss into your life because it's already there. You're integrating, meaning you can bring up the names of your loved one if it's a death loss. Okay? Now, make other people around you feel uncomfortable because we live in a death-denying society up until the pandemic came and popped us all in the face and said, you're going to deal with your grief. You're going to deal with loss. You're going to stop sweeping things under the rug. Hello, minority people. What happens at our house, stay in our house. You're going to stop that. Okay? So meaning is about finding purpose after the loss, not because of it. Not because of it. So meaning does not minimize your loss. It basically honors it by allowing life to continue with intention. Okay? The lady you see here, I'm continuing my life with intention. I intended to wear these big earrings. I like them. And I wanted y'all to see them. I wore them with intention. My grief caused me to do that. My nails. Look at them. I got something different on every nail. Look at these big glasses. I had one client say, I bet you can see from here to China. And can't. But I'm cute. The old Tonya would have not worn these big glasses. You know, grief did that to me. It changed me. It changed me in a great way. All right. So we're wrapping up. If you have any questions, put them in the chat so our producer can see them. All right. So what are some common myths about grief? What is a myth? It's something that's not true. Time heals all wounds. Not true. Not true. It's what you do with that time that's going to heal the wound. Right? Time alone does not heal the truth. Strong people do not grieve deeply. Not true. Okay? We're redefining what strong people, look like. True strength is not the absence of expression. Okay? It's not even biblically correct. The Bible tells us that his strength, God's strength, is made perfect in our weakness. So we have to learn to be weak before the Lord. And we also, what that means in a clinical experience or space is being vulnerable. I've had many people say this. I'm not going to counseling because I'm not going to tell no stranger my stuff. I don't want nobody to know my business. How is that working out for you? Are you healing? Are you moving forward in life or are you still stuck? I digress. What's another myth? Faith eliminates grief. Not so. You can have faith and you can grieve. You can have faith and you cry. What's another myth? Grief should always look a certain way. Not true. Now my grief, can you tell? My grief looks like laughter. Can you tell? I laugh a lot now. That's what my grief looks like. My sisters and I, when we go to the cemetery to visit our parents, I used to go all the time. Now we go on Mother's Day, Father's Day. And now we have a routine we've developed. We go out there and we put armor all. This is an FYI. For those who have loved ones buried, use armor all on the headstone if it's that bronze, the bronze kind. That armor all will repel the dirt. My nephew figured that out. I'm like, oh, who this looks good. And he told me, I went out there and I armor all grandmama and granddaddy's headstone. So now we go out there, we have the armor all, we got our broom, we got our brushes, and we have our chairs. We take our lawn chairs there and we go and we sit and we talk and we laugh. And I used to, listen to this, me, the grief doc, one time we went out there and it was a family who had just buried their loved one, fresh grave. The mound was still, high, and the family was crying. And I was like, oh, we need to be quiet. They're grieving. My sister said, we grieving too. Ours look different. We've been there already. We passed that stage. I said, you better preach, girl. So grief looks different. Like for me now, a lot of my grief, it's like laughter. It's like laughter, okay? So healing, what does it do? It comes through support, meaning, expression, and compassion, not avoidance. Not avoidance. So as we wrap up, before I give you your homework, what are some coping tools for all these stages of grief? Number one, name the loss you are grieving. Put that in the chat. Name the loss you're grieving. I'm grieving the loss of my mom, my dad, my son, my daughter, my health, ooh, my hair. Listen, I'm grieving the loss of my hair, Jesus. Y'all pray for me. I'm going to have to do that on one of my monthly sessions. That's a real thing. So for those of you who have full head of hair, you better praise the Lord. Listen, because all of us don't have that testimony. You got all your edges, you better praise the Lord. I'm laughing, but it's a real deal. It's a real deal. So name the loss, whatever you're grieving. Thank you, Wendell. You're grieving your wife. You're going to name the loss. That's how you cope. You can't heal from what you don't reveal. This is what I'm grieving. Number two, practice slow, intentional breathing. Practice it. Make a part of your routine every day. What else can you do? Create small routines. Don't overload yourself. That was a mistake that I used to make. I'd have a to-do list, especially in grief, of about 10 things. That's too much for a person in grief. That's too many things for one day. 3 things is going to be too many things for a person in grief. Just accomplish one thing. I was working with a client. They say, I got up today because I knew I was coming to see you and I took a bath. I said, well, praise the Lord. That's a major accomplishment because a person who's depressed, personal hygiene is something that they don't even think about. Okay. So you got, what can you do to cope? Name the loss you're grieving, practice slow, intentional breathing, create small routines. Number 4, allow support and help. Allow it. There you go, Leo. Give yourself grace. You got to do that. Allow, help, and support. Okay, you got to allow it. Next thing you want to do is limit comparison. Your grief is not like the next person. Hey, Sean, you got to limit comparison. All losses, again, are significant. Every loss must be acknowledged. So we don't compare just because my grandmother died in her sleep at age 89. Your baby got ran over by a car. My grandmother is just as worthy of my grief. And then lastly, you want to seek professional help or community support when it's needed. All right. So homework. You already know, I'm a teacher by profession. I'm going to give you some homework because when we're not together, we're only here once a month. The real work of grief takes place between these sessions. Okay. So you can do the work or you cannot do the work. The choice is up to you. Being stuck in the pain of grief is a choice. It is absolutely a choice. Hey, Dunk. Hey, sis. So what's your homework? You got to ask yourself, what type of loss am I grieving right now? What type of loss am I grieving right now? The second question you can reflect on, which phase of grief feels most true for me today? Which phase feels most true. And again, you guys can go and download the handout. You be able to get that. The handout is located under the in the description of this video. Where do I notice grief in my body? That's a huge one. Where do I notice grief in my body? I've had many people say, I didn't know grief was so physical. One person, their teeth, their mouth aching, the body aching, head aching. Okay, so where do you notice grief in your body? What feels most difficult in this season? And then lastly, you're going to reflect and ask yourself, what support or compassion do I need right now? You got to first decide what you need. Then the next thing you want to do is communicate it to the people that's next to you. Say, this is what I need. Because you find yourself in a space of disappointment because you're expecting people to provide you what you need. They don't know. They don't have the capacity. So you want to identify the support that you need and then communicate to them. So my final thought, as Marie or Barry comes back, Barry's coming back. Y'all, he looking like Stevie Wonder behind stage. He got on shades. Look at him. So, whether your loss is recent, ongoing, or not recognized by others, guess what? Your grief matters. Your grief matters. So, I hope you got something out of today's session. Okay? Hope you did. Let us know in the chat what's a takeaway that you're taking home with you today. And we'll see you guys next month. Back to you, Mr. Barry.
Happy New Year! Give a hand, yeah. I was listening in the backdrop and I was listening to, well, she was Tonya, but now she Dr. Tonya coming on back there when we finally got it together. See, sometimes the Lord will strategically put people in your life to do specific things for divine purpose. So this is the year 2026, the year of divine helmet. I thought I'd go practice for one of them Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder local plays, but you know, let me put my big glasses on like Dr. Cunningham. Hey. Y'all know sometimes you gotta laugh to keep from crying. I want to give a great shout out to our engineer Cedric, and as soon as he get the last paperwork, y'all can order. I can order my calendars for 2026. Sir Cedric is the reason why they have not come in. Yeah, but by that he needs to learn 2026 walking in God's order and authority and the shepherd's divine order. Better come on, for I punch you in your throat. Rooted in truth, ready for impact in that throat. Sometimes you gotta let people know. That's how I keep the staff on target there. Like, so, y'all want me to punch you in your throat? Yeah. But listen, 2026 is going to be strengthened for the journey ahead from promise to performer. Now, I said, they came and said, well, it's a whole lot of people on today. I said, I know it is. They can't go nowhere. HEB closed up at 4 o'clock today. You can't go to the bingo hall. You can't go to the casino hall. You know where y'all be going there. So why not spend it with a life celebration by Franklin and get ready for the journey? Oh, I just love this crowd. Every fourth Sunday, 3:30 to 4:30. We will be live and we'll let you know when that's going to happen. Listen, you can always go. We are on we're on Facebook Live, and it's going, and we're also on YouTube. Are we right, Mr. Engineer? Yes, he's in the background. You know, that's my nephew. I just love him, but he can sure be bossy from afar. He wants to boss his mama, his auntie, and he would think he can boss Uncle Barry. But I got something for him. You know what I got for you? I can put these shades on, and I can swing, and I can say, I didn't see him when I punched him in his throat. There we go. I want to thank the many of y'all that supported, and we send out. And it's going to be a great Valentine's Day ball for the senior. You got to be 62 years or older, and we're going precinct 1. Y'all know my sister there, Constable Tonya Nixon, also known as Constable Shanae. Yeah, they're going to be working with us, and it's going to be on February the 14th. You must RSVP, and you have to have done some business with a life celebration by Franklin. Why y'all get quiet on that? I be listening to that stuff they be saying, Dr. Tonya Cunningham. Oh, he the highest in town. That's a lie. I can direct you to the other folk that are high. Why y'all think y'all can still get a film in 2026 for what Big Mama paid in 1952? Cars go up, lights go up, water go up, payroll go up, bread is up, pig feed is up. Lord, the chitlins are up. Ooh, Lord. Anyhow, everything goes up, but you want to get a film for nothing. But you want to have Rolls Royce cars and all that stuff there. Anyhow, watch and things will be going out there. Once you get it and you get your ticket, it'll tell you where it's going to be, what time. And precinct one will be there. If you ain't on the list, don't think you're gonna crash this. Wherever it's gonna be, wherever it's gonna be. Listen, thank you for the support that we had since we have moved to Austin. In case you don't know, folks, you said don't go to him. You gotta go to Tyler, Texas. It's Taylor, Texas, not Tyler. And we still have the Taylor location that is still going on, and we have that one and another one. You don't need to know about the other one unless I need to send you over there. Don't get punched in your throat. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Anyhow, again, if you need to get your pre-arrangements done, give me a personal call at the Austin location. And the Austin location is open for weddings. We have weddings there, banquets, and they have banquets there, graduation parties, baby showers. We done had everything there except for divorce. Sister Dr. Tonya Cunningham, you have learned now that a divorce is a deliverance. Ooh, thank you today. Let me put my shades on so I can get that shot there. Mm. A divorce can be a deliverance out of some things there. Now, I want to thank the staff again. Life Celebration, we had a record year and we're still climbing, doing good. I want to thank my good half, Marie Franklin, for putting everything together. Boy, y'all will see. Y'all wouldn't believe. Sometimes, I don't know, I fight with her and then I fight with my friend that wants to call me every Monday and tell me everything I did wrong on the Sunday school, everything I did wrong with the music, and everything I did wrong on how I dress. And but they won't ever come on, and I just have to tell you, there's some people in your life who talk all this trash and can do everything, but there's some people like these folks that we doing them. They're legends in their own time. But this booger bear that think he all that, he just a legend in his own mind. Now go put that in your smoke and pipe that. And I'll hear about that tomorrow. Oh, might hear today because they can't go nowhere. Anyhow, y'all be safe out there. Never let a day go by that you don't tell someone and mean it that I love you. We lost one of my good nieces there, and I was getting ready to go to the Houston Film Directors Christmas extravaganza in December. And she said, Uncle Barry, I just love you. Can I hug you? I said, sure, girl. You know Uncle love you. And did not know. Next thing I know, I get a call from Ernest that she was in the hospital and it wasn't looking good. And later on, she didn't make it. That was our beloved Adrian. Adrian was she just light up the room, quiet, love, and everything, and that. And we're still going through that, but with God's help, we shall get through it. And I try to talk to Ernest every day. Ernest and I grew up together back in the hood. And so we grew up in the Curtis Carter days. You have to be senior to know about Curtis Lee Carter. Minister Curtis Lee Cotton, his nickname was Cotton there. And then we ran together. So keep him in prayer. Y'all also keep Dr. Beulah A. Jones in prayer. She fell and broke her hip, as well as Mr. Dr. Peel, Billy Peel, over there. I said, y'all trying to compete on who gonna get the hip replacement first? But I talked to both of them, and they're going. I went to see her, and she's progressing. Just keep her in your prayer there. It's just nice to be nice. We learned that from the late great E.M. Franklin. And Y'all be nice to people. And we have those calendars soon as the engineer finish up with the last thing he's supposed to do. Y'all can't see he's shaking his head. Are you sweating? Usually when he's in trouble, he sweats on the top of his head there. Uh-huh. Oh, by the way, this coldness has been a blessing. Didn't have to go to church. So I just cooked. And guess what? I cooked some lamb chops, some lamb rib, made my famous chili beans today. Finna do some chicken and dumplings, some fried ribs, some tripe and hominy, and some Cajun fried cabbage, all up here for 4 people there. By the time y'all can make it through here, let's see, y'all can't come through my gate. It ain't open until tomorrow sometime. So it'll be gone to where it needs to be. Love, peace. We'll be back next month. Same bat time, same bat channel. Donna, 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 Donna. Life's a pleasure. Baby, baby. Bye.